don't forget. Okay. Jack, can you hear me okay?
Yes. Hi, Jennifer.
Yes.
Hi, everyone.
Hi. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your patience
Pleasure.
also. This technical glitch. I think we're still in Mercury retrograde, so usually glitches happen in these moments. So for those of you who, yeah, here we go. People are starting to come in here. For those of you who might be new to the community, my name is Jennifer. I'm the community leader of ecomConnect, which is essentially a community where we support e-commerce entrepreneurs in developing and least developed countries. And we have within the community just lots of resources and events to help you gain knowledge and skills to continue to grow your e-commerce business. And one of the series that we do every year is called Network with the Community, which is we're doing the first of the series today with Jack Gendo, who is a UN consultant, also UN partner with us, and in my opinion, an expert in networking. And I think today in our session, what we want to do is just really look at networking from a more innovative way, with a more human approach, and really look at how we can bring our creativity into this whole thing that we call networking, that often has kind of a lot of stress and tension around it. And I'm just going to spotlight Jack and I so that you can see who we're talking about here. So I'm gonna give the floor to Jack for a moment so he can introduce himself and tell us a little bit about the work that he does. And then we're just gonna move into a very organic conversation around networking. And we're gonna open the floor to have a conversation with you guys as well. So you can ask questions and we can really kind of craft this workshop today around your struggles as well and what you wanna work on when it comes to networking. So Jack, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. And can you just tell everyone a little bit about who you are and the work that you do?
Thank you, Jennifer. So my name is Jack Gendo. I'm a social entrepreneur. I started very early, solving solutions to making startups, NGOs. Every problem, I believe that every problem can have a multiple solutions, especially through an entrepreneurial mindset. Also a humanitarian activist. I joined the UN many years ago when I was thinking about taking the humanitarian level to a more international level, especially focusing on minority issues and indigenous people. And focusing on sustainable development goals. Now, my main goal is to mix both lives to the digital technology and entrepreneurship mindset and the human impact on the human being, and that's through the combination of all the fields that I'm involved with. I recently ran for elections in Lebanon because I believe that change should happen everywhere, so we can have more experience in making change toward a better humanity. It wasn't a success as I'm not now an official parliament member, but my campaign was successful because I focused on SDGs and on the human aspect. So I made a good movement in Lebanon. And everywhere else, I support everyone everywhere who can be an inspiration for everyone to make a positive change. Thank you, and I'm happy to be here to answer all your questions through all my, years and years of experience, and also learn from you as well.
Thanks, Jack. I think for me, one of the things that I'd like to highlight about what I observe you doing when it comes to networking and marketing, which I think are two things that kind of go together all the time anyways, is that you do it in a very organic way. And I think sometimes we try to micromanage and manufacture networking experience a little bit too much, and then we lose the human touch, that's when connection happens, right? And so I want us to dive into this a little bit deeper today. But before we get started completely, I would love to, we got still people trickling in. I would love to know from everyone who's in the room, and please feel free if you can. I know that sometimes the internet is not always great for some people, but if your internet is good and you can turn on your camera, that would be really wonderful. I think first thing when we're talking about networking is just having that human connection. So being able to see each other and put a face to a name and kind of breaking the ice and getting to know each other a little bit better. So if you can turn on your cameras, that would be really great. And if you can put in the chat and tell us what is your biggest struggle when it comes to networking. We'd love to know that before we move into our workshop around networking outreach. Hi, Loveness. Hello, everyone who's coming in. Thank you for joining us.
Sorry,
Hello.
I jumped in late, just coming in from another meeting.
It's okay. We actually had a little link issue today, so we have people trickling in, so it's all good.
Okay.
Hi, Priscilla. Thank you for turning on your camera. Anyone who can turn on your camera would be wonderful. Let us know in the chat what you feel is your biggest struggle when it comes to networking, and particularly today, we're talking about networking outreach. So actually, the activities and actions that you're taking to connect with people, whether that's virtually or in person. I'd be curious while we're waiting for people to answer, Jack, and there's still people coming in. What do you feel when you started this entrepreneurial journey was your biggest challenge around networking, or has it ever been? Because I know for you, just like human connection seems really easy and organic, but was there something that you felt challenging when you started?
You know, there's one challenge even related to networking was that when you talk to people organically and then suddenly you decide to start your own business and you don't have all the experience, you start feeling like you are using that networking for to make business. And for some people, this is not comfortable. So then after like 1-2 years, maybe when I started going into forums and having networking events, I started focusing on the fact that you don't have to do networking to sell. You do networking just to meet more people and just talk about your journey. You don't need to sell. So for many people, networking is selling. It's not. I mean, even if you're selling an idea, even if you're an NGO, even if you're just a person trying to inspire people, you are selling something. You are either selling a product, a service, an idea. You're selling your mind or ideas. So either ways, you need to focus on the other side. So it was not late for me to learn that. It was just 1 year maybe when I started to realize that, yeah, I'm not comfortable talking to people just to sell my services or products. So whenever I feel uncomfortable, it's a sign, it's a flag for something. So I used to switch, the way that I feel more comfortable to talk to people. And I ended up helping many people for free in forums. And it was amazing because those people are still my clients until now.
Wow, that's incredible. I love that you said that because one of the things that I've noticed and learned in networking experiences is that the people in the networking room, they're not always the people who become our clients, but they're often the people who connect us to somebody who becomes our client. And I also love that these people are still in your orbit after all this time. I do think that we need to get comfortable with the fact that we're entrepreneurs and we sell things as well, because there is that discomfort. I think for a lot of people, there's like this icky feeling of like this sort of imposter syndrome that a lot of us experience around selling our services or our products. But yes, when we go in with an intention to connect instead of sell, I think a lot of wonderful things can happen in networking events. Okay, we have some people sharing. So Priscilla says, One of her struggles is how to break the ice and actually have the discussion. Loveness says breaking into new spheres. That one's a hard one also. Like getting into executive networks when I have never been one. And Romina says, despite working with people, I am not comfortable with constant connection on social media. Like, for example, LinkedIn as a personal page where I also take care of my interactions. Yeah, these are all really, really relevant struggles. And I think something that a lot of people tend to struggle with. I just want to reset the stage for a moment here because I see a few people just came in. My name is Jen. I'm the community leader for ecomConnect, and we are with Jack Gendo today. We're talking about networking outreach. There was a little link glitch, so thank you for your patience. And we are recording this, so if you missed the beginning of the session, you'll be able to rewatch. Okay, is there anyone else that wants to share in the chat before we continue? What is your biggest struggle when it comes to networking?
Well, what Priscilla mentioned about how to break the ice, I think this is like still for many people, even people who are really good at networking and starting a conversation. It's I believe that this is a research to do every time in our mind to find new ways, because if we're going into the same maybe events or room or people, sometimes it might look like having the same. I mean, I meet sometimes people asking always the same question when they want to break the ice. So it's great to have the same maybe way to do it, or maybe same style and like casual style to start, but always have new ideas, and sometimes prepare. If it's an event that we can prepare for, we can prepare some ideas. Repeating ideas in our mind helps us to be comfortable starting a conversation. Something from the environment that we're joining, whether it's an for example entrepreneurial event, or something related to business, or I don't know, whatever, private sector, public sector, whatever it is, we can a little bit think about those keywords in our mind so we can start the conversation accordingly. That would be helpful.
Yeah.
And for social media, I believe that, you know, what Romina mentioned about not feeling comfortable, it's actually social media is a great tool to have more opportunities to communicate. And I think like you know, just replying to comments or commenting on some posts would be a conversation. It's not necessarily starting a conversation on the messenger. You know, it can be like a public conversation. That is networking tool, and that is stick there so everyone can see later on whenever they search or they find that post. So it's amazing to and it depends. You can have some posts that are related to some technical questions, topics that are related to your field. It's amazing to engage on posts, because that is the best way of communicating on social media.
Yeah. Loveness says, if you were to have a toolkit for networking that converts, what would you say I need to network successfully? What would you say I need to network successfully? Well, actually, I want to dive into something now that's something in our talk today that Jack and I wanted to discuss, and it's really relevant to what everybody is talking about here, which is, you know, the stress around how to break the ice, uncomfortable on social media, and all of those wonderful uncomfortable things. There's a concept or something I heard in an event that I was in the other day, and it was talking about in networking to be the most interested person in the room versus the most interesting person in the room. And so we often go into networking events with this idea of like this elevator pitch strategy where we need to like go in and just like throw our elevator pitch onto everybody. And that, I think, is probably one of the most uncomfortable strategies, because one, it doesn't feel natural and human. It feels very manufactured and a little bit robotic, I would say, even. So I think that there's a way to have your elevator pitch, or how you present yourself, but you don't have to like throw it all out at the same time. And if you go into networking with the theory or the strategy of being the most interested person in the room, then you can go in with more curiosity and instead ask people questions. People love to talk about themselves. And so if you go in with the intention of like getting to know people, and it's such an easier way to break the ice, right? Instead of feeling like, what do I need to say about myself when I meet these people? And I think that you can use this also on social media, asking people questions, like really just posting and asking people questions. And then that just organically starts a conversation. So I don't know if you want to share a bit more about that, Jack, and your thoughts around that. And I know we have a resource to share with everybody around this concept.
Yeah, actually, being a good listener during the conversation is a great tool to first leave a good impression, and people can easily remember, you know, people who are listening to them and responding according to what they are saying, more than people who are just talking and talking about.
Yeah, I'm just putting the link in the chat here for everybody.
So if you want to, I forgot about that. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. You went out for a little bit, but you're back. Go ahead.
Okay. So I was saying that the art of listening is a great topic that I think, I don't remember if it was a course that I saw or a course that I was trying to prepare with my team, but I remember that this topic was very important to have as a session for entrepreneurs to be good listener, either with their audience, their clients, or with their team. To be a good listener is like have many levels of of skills to be able to become the most by being the most interested person in the room, and to become the most interesting person in the room. So I think this is the transition that we can do by listening, and not just listening and actively listening and responding to your, whoever you're talking to with the facts and the keywords that they are bringing to the conversation. And something else about being interested is to focus again on the topic, that if we are in a specific event, we can just mingle and talk to people and ask questions so they can answer back, and then you can create somehow that spirit in the room where they, sometimes you see someone in a specific event and you realize that person is the center of this room or event. It's just by having this connection with everyone. Either it's by being connected with everyone previously or during the event. I recommend being there like 10, 15 minutes before the event also, and have those side conversations that you can do and ask those questions to learn about people. And then later on, whenever you have another chance to start another conversation, then you would be more comfortable, and then you would be that person who knows the most in the room, know about all the people in that room or event. And second, if you have if you're a speaker, for example, and you're talking about people from that room, then you have the attention of everyone. It's very important. So you can just try it. For those who didn't try this technique before, it's really amazing.
Yeah. I just put the link in the chat for, I think that resource you were talking about, which is the Jordan Harbinger, I think his name is. And it's a website that is really filled with resources on how to be the most interesting person in the room by being the most interested, like Jack was talking about. And we'll put that also in the event notes in ecomConnect. So let's dive in now to the next part of our conversation, which is how to start a conversation. There's a couple of points that we wanted to walk through today with you all about just how to break the ice, how to start a conversation with people when you are networking and doing some networking outreach. And a few of the key points that we had, and we're going to go into each one a little bit more, is one is to just be fun and creative about your process and how you approach this. Remembering that others are also struggling just like you. So as we can see, every time we talk about networking and we ask people what their struggles are, there's a common thread in everyone's struggles. So it's stressful for everybody. So when we remember that, it can help us relax a little bit and not be so worried. Remembering your why, the why behind why you're there, the work that you do. And I think more important than talking about the service or the product that you're selling is talking about like why you're selling this thing. What problem are you solving? Going below the surface to kind of have a more rich conversation with people. So let's just circle back to the fun and creative part of networking and how you can do that. I would love, Jack, if you could tell us a little bit about some strategies that you like to use, that you have used even in your campaign. We talked about that in our pre-chat. And some strategies that you've seen other people use that have just been really different and creative in their networking approach.
Yeah. So actually, every time I have a new mission to do to network with people, I try to create new ways to do that according to that mission. So one of the things that was interesting actually a couple of weeks ago when I was running my campaign in Beirut, I was going into cafes and pubs at night and talking to people, just turning around, and I had my QR code printed on my back, and then everyone was just like trying to find out why do I have a QR code on my shirt, and then they were all scanning. And when I was walking in the streets and talking to people as well, people were just pulling their phones and scanning even when they are in their cars. And it was like interesting because with the fact that some people knew that that candidate who is talking to people, which didn't happen in Lebanon before, just going to pubs and having drinks and talking to people as a candidate and starting conversations, political conversations. And at the same time, I'm that open so everyone can scan me and connect with my Instagram. That was a creative idea that had a big impact, and especially with the people who professionals who usually feel like politics is very boring, and with that suit and just going to TV. And so I mean, I had this part because I had to, but at night I was being myself. One more thing I did actually during the E-Day, election day, I got a bike, and I intended to go to all the election centers in Beirut on my bike with a QR code. So it was again another impact. A candidate on the bike again in Beirut. It's very weird because we have those convoys and for politicians, and it's not that casual. So I wanted to make that part with the networking with people, and it had a great impact. I mean, the chances were very high because of that networking part. Again, if I go to a private, for example, event, or today I was in a private sector event, talking to people and trying to connect with them on Instagram, and whenever, especially the speakers, whenever they have a speech to make, I take a shot and tag them because people love this. I mean, even if they are not speakers, sometimes you have a conversation, you have a photo, and then you tag them. This is part of the networking. You don't need to start a conversation sometimes. It's just connecting. Getting people to your social media in a friendly way helps you grow your network again. sometimes printing some hashtags on or your tag on your shirt is amazing when you go and start a conversation. Sometimes you can put a question on your shirt. So imagine you're going to a networking event and you have your shirt and you have the question, I don't know, what is your best uh, topic to, I don't know, the topic to start or to start a conversation. What do you do, for example? Hey, how are you? Whatever it is, just put your best question and put it on a shirt. And if you want to be like very funny and smart, you can have three shirts in a bag, and then during the same event you change questions. And that would be, I mean, people love creativity. That you get people when you do this without even saying a word. I mean, these are just few ideas. Sometimes you can bring, you can search, you can, if the event that is very important to you, then it can have like 30 to 30 minutes to 1 hour just brainstorming about that event. And again, printing this stuff is not expensive, and not, it's just a sentence that you go and cut and you stick it to your shirt. Yeah, I don't remember. I had many other ideas. For every event, I try to make something new, something creative. I'm not. I wasn't like that very quick person to start a conversation. I was shy sometimes in many other events, but I always had to find a way to have a step forward and make sure that the conversation can start easily. It's never easy. Sometimes you have to talk to people that you never met. You don't know people. Sometimes you get rude people. Sometimes you get people who don't understand your language maybe. So you don't know. You just go and take your chance and have the network, because networking has great opportunities. I mean, I had great opportunities in my life just by chance of having a side conversation somewhere in a cafe, or I don't know, in a taxi or whatever. You don't know where the opportunities are. You just try your best to always stay connected with everyone.
Yeah, I think it's really about like deep listening and observation and curiosity. And again, this circles back to this idea of being the most interested person in the room, or interesting person in the room in an innovative way, because oftentimes when we go to networking events, it's like the same old thing we see and hear all the time. And when we see and hear something over and over and over again, we actually don't see and hear it anymore. We become very almost like yeah, it just doesn't catch our attention anymore. So anything that you can do that wakes people up and gets people to be like, oh, what's this? Like, what's happening here? What is this QR code? I think is, and it, again, it brings some fun and relaxation into business and networking events, because as entrepreneurs, I think, we are the group of people who probably work the hardest and the most, because we are just like all into our business all the time. It's in our minds all the time. And it's nice to bring some lightness and fun to these kinds of things. There was also the story you told me about the business card drop, a friend of yours.
Yeah.
That one
Yeah.
was fun. Tell us about that one.
Yeah, actually, that a friend of me, we used to do during university, graphic designing, freelancing, graphic design, web design. And a friend of me used to print like fun, not funny, but cool, creative business cards that he used to drop sometimes in the bus or somewhere in a cafe, drop the business card, and then ask the person, like person next to the business card, he dropped, is this your card? You just dropped this, and then they take it. They think that this, and they take it home. Then they check it. Oh, this is a graphic designer. He didn't get like much clients, but it was like few clients that he got this way. It was funny actually, because we didn't have this experience, and he didn't know that this is about networking or creative. He just did it because he wanted to reach more people, and it was hard by that time. It was, I mean, during university time, we didn't have like social media for business. It was just for fun. I mean, Facebook was very new, and yeah, so he had this idea, and it worked for many with many people.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's so fun. And it's such like a spontaneous way to catch people's attention. Yeah. Loveness is saying she's loving these ideas. Yeah, it's really fun to get creative with our networking and our marketing. Again, I think they really go hand in hand together. Um, can you tell us a little bit about your idea around like that we're not actually selling our service or our product, we're selling more of our experience, we're selling the value that our team offers. It was really insightful when you talked about that the other day. I'd love if you could share a little bit more on that.
Yeah, actually, we sometimes when we start our business, we think that people will just, come and buy our product or service because they love it. Then with time, we start learning that they are not actually buying that product or that service. They are actually buying our soft skills, our trust, our skills. I mean, product and service are important, but they are the result of all these soft skills. So that's why whenever you buy something, you look sometimes at the person, at the salesperson that who is selling you that product or service. Even if you're buying that from a brand like, I don't know, if you're buying an iPhone or buying a, I don't know, a car, many times you don't buy it from a specific dealer or reseller just because of the the team, the way they talk to you, the way they serve you, or they support you to have that product. So you just don't buy that product, even though you know that this is the product that you want and that brand is what you want and you trust that brand. So this is why I think that we are actually selling our ideas, how we talk, how we behave with our clients that actually don't really like to be treated like clients. They want to get closer to make sure that they want to buy it from the best person. Now, if we're talking about the service, that it is more important because the service is like directly affected by the way you talk and the way um, you put trust in your service. You care about your service and your clients. So yeah, actually, this is it. They're not buying your products or services as much as they are buying your ideas, your concept, your spirit. Um, I mean, yes, sometimes you can buy something just randomly, um, but not when you're an entrepreneur and trying to. I mean, people won't just come to you because you're not a brand that have been there for 20 years. When you're an entrepreneur, you're starting a business with your own effort, that many times are not that much effort. So yeah, the only strength that you have sometimes is your spirit, your way with dealing with things, the love and the efforts that you put to make that service, um, and make your client comfortable.
Yeah, there's an entrepreneur that I really love, which you might know, is his name is Simon Sinek. He talks about he has a TED talk and a book called Start with Why. And in his TED talk, he says people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do what you do. And I think it's such an important reminder of what we need to focus on really in our networking and our marketing. Let's talk a little bit about social media, because I think that's where people are spending the most time right now. Yeah, Loveness loves Simon Sinek. He's really inspiring. I really enjoy his work as well. Let's talk a little bit about social media. And I actually want to, I'm going to put the links to your social media networks in the chat, because you do such a great job at repurposing all the activity that happens in your business within your week. It's actually really inspiring and really incredible to see how simple it can be to use stuff that is already happening or that already happened, and share it with your community in a way that creates connection and engagement, and networking opportunities. So what are your thoughts and your strategies and philosophy around using social media for networking? Yeah.
Well, I think that social media is an amazing tool, as I said, for networking if it's used properly. And I don't think that you have to be an influencer having thousands of followers to do this. I mean, again, opportunities are everywhere. Whenever you have sometimes a piece of content on your social media can bring you an opportunity. So just keep posting what you are doing, and how you think. I mean, how you think your service or product or ideas can affect others, and can inspire others. Whenever we do something, the fact that Jennifer you just mentioned about reposting, stuff that was done before and events and activities. I think that I had to know that since I started working, I don't know, whatever, since I was in the university. I hope that I had all the content I created, all the conversations I had, because that is really an amazing. When I realized that this is an amazing content, whenever I talk to people, I do networking and I talk about this stuff, and then suddenly I get, oh my God, why don't you talk about this? I always get this impression. So we always think that what we do is not important. We always think that what we say is not important. But for many people, it is important. You are an influencer for someone. You are someone who can affect other people's lives. This is not just a job for. I mean, even the influencers who have millions of followers, they started with doing this. Of course, there are many. I don't want to compare with influencers. Some influencers just create their page to do to as a channel for business. But if you have 20 followers, then you can be influencing 20 people and changing their lives. And this is not a small number. So this is why I decided to post everything I do and then repost it again with many new ideas, because every conversation has like millions of ideas, millions of perspectives that you can bring to life again and share with people. And then I realized that whenever I post something, based on the situation that we are in. So, for example, when I was running the elections, I had a speech in the UN in 2019, and I was thinking, when or where did I talk about that topic, which was education. And then I was looking to the content, and it's amazing how everything you do in life is leading you to a specific another event. To every event you do is leading you to another event. And then if you bring that event back, everything makes sense, and everything makes sense for you and for your audience. So it would be showing your audience and showing you as well that things happen for a reason, and that you are genuine. You're not just faking the moment now just to be on social media, because this is what many people think social media is. Like, people are faking their success. No, it's not. Sometimes it's your real life can be on social media. I mean, with the topics that you want to share with your audience.
Yeah.
And then I realized that in every conversation I had, there was like just a piece of 30 seconds that can be very important for many people, but we don't give it like its real value, because it's like, for example, this conversation. Now we have many ideas, and then suddenly we decide to post it as it is for 1 hour, and no one will watch that 1 hour unless they want to go into the details and if they missed the event. But otherwise, you can just take those sections and try to put a good caption on it and start networking with people accordingly, and use hashtags always.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that, and I love your approach to for the intention of the post to be impact driven versus like sales driven, you know. So it's really like how can I use this piece of content and bring value to people on social media. And when you create impact and offer value, it pretty organically creates an opportunity for connection and networking, I believe. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. That's really great. While we're going to open up the room in a moment for some questions, but feel free to post some in the chat as they come to mind. We'll get to the questions near the end. Let's talk a little bit about what not to do or what we don't recommend doing, because we did have a little conversation around that. And I think that there's some very old, outdated networking strategies that people still feel like they should be doing, or that like that's the way to do it. And yeah, I just think it's important to highlight those things. So we had talked about a couple of things together, such as cold calls, bulk emails, pitching immediately, not talking about the product or service, but more about the problem you're solving, which we just talked about. But can we dive in a little bit to like cold calls, bulk emails, like that sort of what is the word I'm looking for? Unintentional approach, I would say, to networking.
Yeah. Well, if we're talking about doing direct sales, sometimes we try to do like bulk emails, do cold calls. I mean, many salesperson and business development experts don't agree with me when I say that doing random bulk emails is not good for your business. Why? Because sometimes it brings you sales. It brings you leads. Yes, I agree with that. But again, the level of the leads that you're getting and the way that you're starting your business or start doing sales is not as good as starting real conversations with people who really want to know who you are, what your business is about, and not just selling. Because bulk emails are usually effective if you are selling a product and having a discount and making something catchy that brings people to buy your product. And again, cold calls, you might be losing opportunities when you do cold calls, because whenever you do a cold call and then you don't get any positive feedback, then you are losing that contact, not to have another chance to convert that lead to a client. Instead, I would recommend having this creative, ideas that we just did. Even if you want to do a bulk email, you have to do it to add value and to, I don't know, unless you're sending something really valuable to those emails, don't send it just to push your product or service. Even cold calls, unless you're having a great opportunity for people, don't do that. I mean, it's my personal recommendation. With my experience, if I go back in time, I wouldn't let anyone of my team to start doing bulk emails. I remember that I had 3 to 4 clients from bulk email, but my team had to send. I mean, we were just 3 people. One of the team members decided to send the bulk email, and this was like sending to 100,000 emails to get 3-4 clients. So that was, a horrible number for a salesperson. This is a great number, because you just with a single click you got 4 clients. But again, there was 100,000 opportunities that we lost, or -3. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend the cold calls and the bulk emails, especially for networking. So if you're selling a product, having a discount, whatever, you can talk to companies who do that and just do it. But for you, as just calling people to start a conversation, I mean, many people do that. I don't recommend it. What are many ideas? You can just share in the chat what would be like ideas that you think people do and they don't work for some reason. I mean, sometimes they work to sell a product again, but don't work doesn't work if you want to have real conversation or real networking to have good connection.
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm also curious to hear from people in the room, like what strategies feel icky or just not really efficient that you've either used, because I think we've all done it, or that someone has used on you that has not been a great experience. Feel free to share in the chat.
You know, now there are WhatsApp systems that that also are not, I mean, worse than emails because you know, it's a private it's a private platform where you are just bombarding people with the ads.
Yeah, absolutely. Priscilla says, I try to teach on my social media. Yeah, absolutely. It's a great, oh, actually, that's something that we forgot to touch on. So Priscilla, thank you for sharing that, because actually, Jack, you were telling me about how most of your networking connections have happened through you mentoring people. So yes, teaching, mentoring, helping people without always the intention of like selling your service, I think can be very powerful. Can you speak a little bit to that, Jack?
Pardon, Jennifer, the question because I had a glitch in my connection.
It's okay. It's okay. I was saying, because Priscilla just shared, I try to teach on my social media. And I was saying like, yes, absolutely. Like any value you can bring. And it brought me back to what we had discussed that I forgot to bring up today. You were sharing the other day about how a lot of your networking connections happen through you mentoring people. Can you speak a little bit to that? Because I think that sometimes we have fear around like giving ourselves for free and like how much should we support, how much should we teach for free and all that stuff. I would love to hear a little bit more about that.
Yeah, actually, in both ways. When I used to do mentoring for large enterprises as well as for you know, individuals and entrepreneurs, and both are bringing actually expanding my network. But the most interesting thing is that, okay, if you don't have the chance to have those courses or sessions or opportunities to become a trainer, then you can do your own webinars and free courses that you can have. And many people tell me that why are you doing a webinar and posting, you know, the last webinar I had on personal leadership, I had 1,200 registered. Of course, not everyone attended, but everyone, you know, connected with me. All people who registered in that event, they followed me on LinkedIn. So that was a big number. I mean, that was the plus one, the benefit, the first benefit that I had even before doing the webinar. And then when I had the webinar, there was like 100 something active participants were always chatting, and I got the certificate. And then they posted their certificate, and then they tagged me and sent me a recommendation. I mean, how much would you pay to do that? I cannot know. I cannot do that even if I had to pay for ads to bring you know, this kind of followers and supporters. And then whenever I do anything now, they are like real supporters. You know, whenever I post in something, they share it with their friends. Whatever I do, and that was a free webinar that took me maybe, I don't know, 6 hours preparation with my team and just 2 hours, you know, webinar. And yeah, that was amazing. I mean, that wasn't a free webinar for me. I got paid like very high, but I got a lot of opportunities after that. So we have to redefine what a free and paid, you know, things are.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think that sometimes our fear of giving our time can get in the way of us creating really powerful opportunities in our business. Absolutely. We have a couple of people who commented. So Priscilla's saying, I find it weird, those entitlement posts, just throws me off. Yes. Magdalena, hi Magdalena from Geneva. She can't put her camera on, that's okay. And Magdalena said, a bad experience for me is related with how after contacting someone, there's a first exchange, but then the person stops the dialogue, or ghosting that's widely spread. Yes, ghosting is like ghosting is a real problem. And it again, is coming from people just being so on the defensive now, because I think of sort of the bad turn that networking took in the last few years. Like it just online, everybody got really saturated. And so we've just received so many of these like kind of cold call, but messages, you know, and on WhatsApp or on social media, like without the human touch. And so I feel like people are in a lot of fear right now, or just kind of more protective of their space. Yeah, related to saturation as well. I agree. Yeah. And I think it's important to remember that whatever feels icky to us probably feels not great to somebody else, you know? And so it's probably something that's good to steer clear of when we're thinking about reaching out to people.
Yeah, actually about the saturation thing, I think that there's always people who can connect with you and that they cannot connect with other people. And sometimes, you know, you have to not find a way to, you know, to, I don't mean like keep the conversation going. You have to do something. I mean, sometimes it's just people trying to, I don't know, just starting any conversation and then leaving. I mean, what we are talking now about having good networking, not necessarily everyone is having these skills. So it's a skill actually, and they are losing opportunities again. But I think there's always a way to reconsider the time that we spend during the networking and the topics that we start, and we can always learn something from anyone, everyone we talk to and we meet. Yeah, and it is based. I mean, it's related to many factors, but I think we have to now. Just because we're talking about networking, now you're trying to make an idea in your mind that networking is important and that we need to think always in a specific way. For some people, might be like, I don't care, I don't wanna do networking. Why would I go and talk to people? I mean, if you are an entrepreneur and if you're trying to change the world, then you need to talk to people. You're changing the world through your product, through your service, through your innovation, new ideas. Then networking is good. So always try to focus on you, how you can make the conversation more comfortable and more you know, interesting for you before having it for the other person.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think we could open up the floor to questions before we kind of tie up the session today. So does anyone, you can either put it in the chat, but I think it would be a nice practice for today if you can turn on your camera and unmute if you want to either ask a question or just share any thoughts or insights around the topic of today, or even share any experience that you've had, good or bad, with us. So please feel free to unmute and ask your questions. We're gonna stay here for a few more minutes with everybody. I don't know if Romina's still here, but she had to go. Yeah, no, I think she's gone. Does anyone have any questions about today's conversation? Hi. Hello?
Sorry, it had just gone quiet a bit there. Thank you so much for the session. Absolutely loving the nuggets. I think my question is kind of like on the other side. When someone wants to network with you and it's a bad experience, I don't know if anybody has ever gone through that. How do you kind of like politely detangle yourself from an experience like that? You can go to a workshop or a conference or an opportunity just to connect with people, and someone approaches you and they're like, oh, okay, I really wanted to talk to someone else. And so how do you manage that? How do you get out of that nicely? Or is there a nice way of doing it?
Such a good question.
You mean if you want to leave the conversation and talk to someone else?
Yes.
Or if they are trying to do this? Okay.
Yeah. So, and that happens often in networking events. We don't connect with everybody. We don't jive with everybody. And so, yeah, I don't even know if I have an answer to that personally. Jack, has it happened to you? And how have you like slipped out?
Yes, it happens always when you have that person who tried to, start a very, like a 1 hour conversation and 1 hour event. So you just have the chance to talk to one person. In this case, I always try to leave. How do I leave? I think that is skill to work on, because you need to make sure that it's first body language. Body language is very important without without being rude. You can do many things. Like it could be your phone, it could be leaving to the bathroom, it can be I don't know. When I have friends sometimes with me, I always ask someone to call me whenever they see me stuck in a conversation. I do such stuff sometimes. I mean, even if sometimes if it's like for 5-10 minutes, but sometimes it's I think it's not healthy to have that kind of 15 minutes conversation repeating the same topic, and someone who's just, I don't know, some people just love to talk without having any highlights in the conversation. So yeah, what you can do is find a smart way to finish it. But body language is amazing because you can somehow end the conversation without ending it like very, very obviously. You can sometimes, it's very important to cut the sentences in the middle. So whenever someone is talking about the very big topic, you can ask quick questions about that topic, and then you break that, I don't know, I call it weird conversation that is just not finishing. There's no point or full stop to not a break to stop the conversation. So you start asking questions so you can create spaces and end the conversation, and then move to another conversation.
Yeah, I think body language is probably the most relevant strategy. Yeah, you're welcome, Loveness. Does anybody else have any questions? You're welcome. Everyone's saying thank you. You're welcome. I'm going to put just the link to ecomConnect in the chat. If you are not already in the community, it's free to join. We would love to have you. We have so many great events, and this networking event is going to be a series. So there's going to be a couple more coming up in the next, up until the end of the year. And if there's no more questions, I think we'll tie up for the day. And I'm going to also attach the chat to the event in ecomConnect. So when you go into ecomConnect and you go to events, past events, you'll be able to see today's event, and there'll be by tomorrow or the next day, there'll be the recording, the chat transcript. So you can go grab any links that we've shared today. If you want to go follow Jack on Instagram, LinkedIn, wherever he is. And thank you so much for coming today. It was a really great session. Thank you for your patience through the technical glitches at the beginning. Jack, it's always an honor to have you here with us doing events and sharing your experience. It's always really insightful. So thank you for spending time with us this morning.
Thank you, Jen. It's really my pleasure always to stay in touch, and also on social media. If anyone have any questions about any topic, I'm ready to help. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much. Have a really wonderful end of day, everybody, and we will see you hopefully in the community.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.